Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Where is the Love podcast. I'm your host, Salahudin Nemley. This show is also brought to you and produced by the iRant Network and myself. Today, we're going to be finishing our conversation on colorism in the Black community. You know, light skin versus dark skin, brown skin, and that whole spectrum. But before we really get into that, I want to show a preview of a film by Bill Duke. Actually, it's called Dark Girls, I do believe. And I think it came out in like 2011. And it discusses this whole thing that we're talking about when it comes to lighter skin and darker skin individuals. So we're going to play that real quick. Let's go.
Rise, dark girls.
I can remember being in the bathtub asking my mom to put bleach in the water so that my skin would be lighter and so that I could escape the feelings that I had about not being as beautiful, as acceptable, as lovable.
If we're all just hanging around and a dark-skinned girl will pass by, they'll be, oh, well, she's pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean?
I used to wish that I can wake up one day lighter or wash my face and think that it will change. I thought it was dirt and I tried to clean it off, but it wouldn't come off.
Just doing something small as standing in front of the class to do show and tell. I wouldn't look up. I wouldn't make eye contact with anyone. I would hold my toy really tight because I knew my toy loved me, even if they didn't.
Here comes Blackie. Here comes Tar Baby. I remember one in particular, they used to say, "You stayed in the oven too long." And that was really hurtful.
They would do it every single day without let up. On the playground, in the classroom, in the cafeteria, just constantly you got it. So I didn't really have a high self-esteem.
It was so damaging. It made us feel like we weren't wanted, that we were less than.
My mother and her friend, we were driving somewhere, and she's bragging on me. She said, my daughter is beautiful. She's got great eyelashes. She's got the cheekbones. She's got great lips. And then she's going on and she adds, could you imagine if she had any lightness in her skin at all? She'd be gorgeous. And just that last little part, just all that pride that I had about her, having her brag on me, just dissipated. And I think that moment is when I really became aware.
Show me the smart child. And why is she the smart child?
Because she is white.
Okay. Show me the dumb child. And why is she the dumb child?
Because she plays.
Well, show me the ugly child. And why is she the ugly child?
Because she plays.
Show me the good-looking child. And why is she the good-looking child?
Because she likes skating.
I think I remember most saying that, if I had a little girl, I didn't want her to be dark. I remember saying that. I didn't want her to be dark like me.
When you're around so many people that you trust, simply because you're looking at another Black person, you're thinking, oh, they're Black, I'm Black. They're not going to have anything derogatory to say about me. But when you live so many years with people having certain judgments relative to your skin tone, you start to believe it.
A friend of mine had recently had a baby. And so You know, it was my first time seeing the baby, and the baby was beautiful. And she said, "Girl, I'm so glad she didn't come out dark." And when she said it, it felt like a dagger, like someone took a dagger and stuck it in my heart, because I was used to expecting hearing things like that from other races. But this was someone that I considered to be my sister.
Skin color amongst the Black community is a huge issue in our time.
This is not a phenomenon. It's just the reality in the Black culture.
I believe we didn't like ourselves. I'm sure it started with slavery, but I think we kept the vicious cycle going.
I mean, you know, dark-skinned women, I don't really like dark-skinned women. Like, they look funny beside me. So, you know, I'd rather not date a dark-skinned woman.
You rather light-skinned girl?
Yeah, light-skinned pretty girl, long hair, don't care.
My experience with Black men has been, I'm exotic, I'm beautiful, they're fascinated by me, behind closed doors. But when it came to dating, coming to the front door, taking me out in public, it doesn't happen.
The darker you are, it's more of a sexual approach. It's more of a relationship without much meaning sort of approach than it is, I could get married to that woman and have a few kids.
All my lighter friends always had those boyfriends. They always were seen together, but if somebody wanted to date me, it was, I'll meet you after school. It was more of a hidden thing. Nobody ever wanted to just be with you.
There are places that I've gone that there are just a lot of whites, and they would tell me, "You have such beautiful skin. Is that your hair? Did you dye? Is that your natural color?" And you know, it's really questionable to me. Why is it that they think that I'm so beautiful and my own people don't see any beauty in me at all?
I was once on CNN debating the whole controversy about Beyonce's L'Oreal ad, when, you know, a picture of her just in motion was placed against a picture of her in print. You know, everybody said, "Oh, there's no way that they didn't lighten her skin." And, you know, I just don't want to believe that that is still happening this day and age.
You got that good hair, too. You like what? I like girls with that light complexion look. Oh, you're a moron. I can't help it. What, being a moron? Yeah, that too.
Several years ago, I had decided I wanted to wear a fro. I remember one young lady said to me that if she had her hair look like that, she would have to cover it. And I said to her, "Well, you take up the perm out of your hair. That's exactly what it looks like." And she said she has never seen her natural hair, because from she was small, her mom has always had her with something in it.
It doesn't look clean, I feel like. It looks like nasty, almost like if you just like roll out of bed and your hair is like nappy, it's the most disgusting, like unclean thing.
I've had issues with having longer hair since a small child. And it did come from Black kids.
Being in school, there was just such a separation among girls who were lighter skinned and girls who were darker skinned.
It was really bad because in junior high school, the nair, some people I knew, the walls of it in their hair just to take it out. Yeah. So we were separated, and it caused a lot of friction amongst children, which now as an adult just seems stupid to me.
The racism that we have as a people amongst ourselves is a direct backlash of slavery. The house niggas versus the field niggas, the paper bag rule. If you're darker than a paper bag, you know, and the whole thing, it's like we as a people were so disenfranchised that we adopted some of that, a lot of that.
I think the problems within the Black community has to do more with our lack of unity. We don't really see each other as being part of the community, partly because we don't have a language. We don't have something tangible aside from our skin color to say, I am part of you, you are part of me. In the Black community, it's like, no, I'm not Black, I'm Caribbean. Or I'm not Black, I'm Haitian. You're Black.
Rise, dark girls. Rise.
Well. So that was pretty, I don't want to use the word interesting, but it was really eye opening because it's like I know these things happen, and I've actually seen and heard some of these things happen, but to see these women, like carry it the way they carried it, and to like see how they go back into their mind and reflect on these things and the pain that they feel from their own people is very, very disheartening. You know what I mean? And it's go ahead. What you saying? Go ahead.
Nah, I gotta take this Bluetooth off because I think it's my Bluetooth that's just choppy as shit, and I can't find my other headphones. So I'm just going to try to talk through the regular mic. All right, go ahead.
But yeah, it definitely derives from when we were enslaved and everything like that. But we, like she said, we kept it going through that whole avenue, and it's the same thing as people wanting leverage and wanting to be better than more than wanting to be together. You know what I'm saying? So now it creates the animosity between each other, and then you seeing people teaching their kids that. The woman said that the girl was like she never seen her natural hair ever because she was getting her hair permed since she was a little girl. You know what I mean? It's just crazy to see and hear these things. You know what I mean? What do you think about this whole thing?
Well, for me, it was just strange hearing it because I didn't experience those things. So anytime I don't personally experience it, I gotta kind of try to dive into the shoes of that other person to try to understand it. I know of the stories, and I hear what they're talking about, and I empathize, but I try to get a better understanding from where it comes from, which is the root. I don't like to always lean on the crutch of slavery being the root cause. Self-hate is something that people embody with or without slavery, just feeling inadequate and insecure. It could be the way beauty is being marketed, especially here in the United States, because this is the only reference we really have. But when you look at magazines, videos, movies, the leading lady is usually someone of a lighter complexion who has what they believe to be your quintessential beauty standard. So up until maybe Cicely Tyson, it wasn't really represented in a big way. Even when Lupita did 12 Years a Slave and people were gawking over how pretty she was, a lot of that had to do with because of her skin and how it just gelled with her beauty, her teeth, her body, and everything. But as a Black person, I've seen that my whole life. So when I look at that type of hate, it looks like people are looking to get acceptance from those who are not of our culture. Because to me, that's the only time where you can even really draw some level of contrast to. Now, of course, you got your light skin and dark skin within our community, but when did it start? When did we start looking at each other like, okay, that's a different beauty standard than mine, other than referencing a whole nother culture that has nothing to do with us at all? You look at the way we go about our hair, with women, dyeing it, straightening it, all of that. We can draw a whole lot of parallels with the beauty standards in America and can kind of attribute that to why some women, and then they roll that down to their kids, believe that a lighter complexion might be more favorable. Uh, I don't know if it's from slavery altogether, but it's definitely been marketed in that way.
Yeah. Nah, that's definitely for sure. Let's go to some of the comments. Virginia Slim says dark skin is shunned worldwide. The most persecuted of any nation are usually the darker hued people. I could say that's true. Virginia Slim also says self-hate is detrimental to our people. Definitely a fact. Yeah, sleazy act said, yeah, V Slim is crazy. I used to be that way. Oh wow. Now I don't even look at a chick lighter than me. Is okay. But what else got? No more comments. But is that the way though? Like, is that proper? Like, okay, I used to think dark skinned women or dark skinned people were less than or ugly, but now I don't even look at people lighter than light skin. I don't understand. I think it's like that kind of sound like maybe because he or she didn't get further into their comment or how they are, but that kind of seemed like you went all the way in a worse direction. London Taylor says the colorism thing is prominent in most races: Asians, Arabs, Indian caste system, etc. Well, yeah, it's always the darker skin still. That's like, because I was talking to one of my homegirls at work, and she's Punjabi. She was just like, "Yo, there's darker skin, Punjabi women that's like great at being actresses and everything like that, but the only ones that get casted are the ones that's almost white looking." You know what I mean? So it's like it's worldwide that if your skin is dark, then you don't get looked at the same as everybody else. The thing that makes it sad for me though is watching, and I've seen this clip hundreds and hundreds of times, but it's still sad to see this little girl pointing out the dark skinned little girl on the page for everything that's negative. And mind you, she's dark skinned. She's a dark skinned little girl. So she's looking at it and they ask her, oh, who's the ugly one? Who's the mean one? And this, that, and the third. And she's pointing to the dark skinned girl on the page. True confession for me, while I was like, I started to think away like that too, but not towards dark skinned women, towards light skinned women. And I'm going to explain myself real quick. When I was in high school, all the light-skinned women, all the light-skinned girls that was around, they always carried themselves like they knew they was it. Kind of like for instance, school days, how the gamma rays used to carry themselves. Like, oh yeah, we this, we that, we better than you, and da da da, and used to like treat people as such. You know what I'm saying? And even dating some of them and getting treated a certain way, I used to just like, yo, light skinned women are evil. I used to say that. I used to really think that. You know what I'm saying? Like for a hot minute, that's how I felt because that's how I was always treated by them. But of course, being older and like looking back on it, it was stupid. Social engineering from a young age. Yes, London Taylor. Yes. That is definitely what that was. Yes, Virginia Slimmer did do the doll test at the during the video. They definitely did the doll test. But let's get her mama probably trash. HB2N. Her mama probably trash. Okay. But that's the thing. Like what the girl, like what the other woman said, she said her mother was bragging on her about being so beautiful and her eyes and her cheekbones and this, that, and the third, but wrecked it by saying, oh, now just imagine if she was lighter skinned. Like, that's crazy. So now she's a little girl and she's getting her confidence boosted. But then her mother say something like that to her friend, and now she feel like, oh, my mother low-key think I'm ugly. or my mother don't think I'm pretty enough. So now she's holding on to that. And then it begins to go with other people, into other people, other relationships that she's having, and then, well, low self-esteem and everything like that. Welcome, Brother Will. He just joined the podcast. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We chilling, man. We getting into this light skin versus dark skin colorism thing in our community, and we just showed a video.
I already know that video. You ain't even got to explain it. I
Oh, you
already know
seen
what
it?
it is. I saw it. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I was feeling the way watching it, especially when dude was like, "Oh, I don't date dark skinned women," not because he didn't say because they were ugly. He didn't say because that's just his preference. He said they don't look right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this goofball. Like, fam, like what does that even mean? Like, they don't look right next to you? As far as what goes. But this is how a lot of dudes think. But then get mad when these dark-skinned women start dating white men. Antoinette Johnson, peace. And this actually goes into what we was talking about last week. We speak about we speaking about our black relationships and everything like that, right? But then you got to dive into like what happens. Black women getting treated a certain way by black men, right? And then the darker skinned women getting treated by a certain way by black men. And then they start dating white men, and then they they procreate, and now they have children. But now the black community is like, oh, nah, they not black. So now you pushing them further out. You know what I'm saying? And that's how crazy that is. Because, and not for nothing, working in the airport, I always see interracial couples, right? But I always noticed that it's the darker skinned black people dating white men. I never really seen a black man or woman dating a white woman that was lighter skinned. And if I did, they was from another country. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I never even thought of that, honestly.
Yeah, what'd you say?
Funny that you say that. I never even like looked at it like that, to pay attention to if there's a consistency in like who it is that's dating outside of the race, like complexion wise. So that's like interesting. Now thinking about it, so I'm gonna be sitting here now trying to figure out if it's only been a certain type that I've seen actually primarily interracially dating.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something that I picked up on. It's like that's interesting type of thing. And a lot of the times I see it, it's African women, like fully. Hold on, let's go to the comments again, but it's actually in our own chat. HB2 and said maybe because white appreciate dark skin more, maybe they do, or maybe it's a fetish for them.
I was about to say, I feel like a lot of it is a fetish sometimes.
Right.
Not always, but a good amount of times.
Yeah, definitely not always a thing, but Bunny says that little girl probably saw dark-skinned girls last as the bad girls in movies and TV shows. So sad. Yeah, that's definitely a fact. That definitely is a possibility because that's all we were shown. A lot of the villains and everything, they get casted as such, and they always dark-skinned. Just one says one love to the Renters Union. HB2N says I wish more white men dated black women. They deserved. Okay.
If this man don't get out of here, drop him off the spaceship. If this was Among Us, I would have voted him out.
Like, what in the world? Oh man. But so we have another situation when it comes to our black women not being seen as black because their daddies is white. I don't really know her parents, but well, besides her mom, but now I've heard that Yara Shahidi they was trying to say that Yara is not black now. I don't know what her father looked like, but I seen her and her mama in the airport, and they look just alike. And as far as I'm concerned, she's a black woman. You know, always advocated, always putting herself out there for black people and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird to me when it comes to
her father's Muslim.
You said her
father's Middle Eastern.
Her father's Middle Eastern.
Yeah, they Muslim. Yeah, he's like I want to say Bahrainian, or I don't think it's Iran.
It is Iranian,
but he's not from the typical Bahrainian.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. It is Iran. Okay, it is Iran. Yeah. So yeah, her father is Middle Eastern, which people don't like to always accept, but the Middle East is in Africa.
Mm-hmm. Definitely is. I don't know why that's such a shocker to people. It's right there on the map.
And a little fun fact, she's also Nas's little cousin.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So that's
fun fact.
Me too. I'm Nas's cousin.
Yeah. We wish. Don't you wish?
You Paul George's cousin, man. Tell Paul George like that.
Definitely looking like PG.
Not Paul. Tell Paul George to get it together, man. He played himself. He played himself.
Oh man, real quick in the comments, London Taylor says, I've been told I'm not black because my mom is coolie and dad dark skinned from the islands. I can't win. That's the other thing. The other sister said in the video, island and Caribbean people, as dark as they are, they say that they not black, they Caribbean. Now, I'm guessing they say that because they're not American, so they probably view black as only being an American thing. To black to say African American. But when you standing next to us, ain't nobody speaking. Don't nobody know the difference. They're gonna just group you up with all of us anyway. You know, and it's just a sad thing that we go through, and we have to really, really, really work hard to just diminish this whole thing. I was thinking about the last podcast and how people in the comments was going off and saying, "Oh, Tracy Ellis Ross is not black because her father's white," and then you are who your father is. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense, right? And here's why that doesn't make sense to me. Because not only are you saying you're aiding in patriarchy by saying the man has to say so, but you're also in the midst of trying to protect black women and saying we love black women and everything like that. You're actually taking her away from her child, saying that like her genealogy doesn't really matter because whatever her father is, that's just what to say so. So if her father is white, then she white, no matter how her skin look. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Like that's just ugh. This conversation like really.
Oh man. I mean, yo, as far as I'm concerned, when I look at it, like I don't know about that whole father thing. That was news to me. Maybe some people categorize like that, but you're a mixture of what both of your parents are, lineage-wise, and genealogy. So, but I do think it is important for distinction. But if we're looking at, I think if we're looking at it from a Pan-African mindset, then everybody of brown skin, pretty much, or somebody who has a parent in their family that's black, somewhere down the line is seen as a black person, as long as they identify along with that. But if you're thinking in a ethnic standard, like a specific ethnic standard, then it's going to get a lot more difficult because then you're going to have to pin down who's from where specifically. Like, I can't sit here and claim that I would be Jamaican or Haitian or St. Lucian. Like, I can't claim anywhere. I can't claim I'm Brazilian. I can't claim I'm Dominican, Puerto Rican, whatever. Like, if you were to look back in my family tree, you just gonna see African American down in South Carolina, like literally where they were, stayed, and came from, like Ola Geechee type people. Like, that's what you're gonna find until you trace it back there. But I feel like sometimes that blanketed term, I feel like what it's doing is people who are like me are, and when I say me, I mean in terms of my lineage and identification, are starting to see that we're getting washed out in terms of being able to identify specifically. Like, so I feel like if you're doing it on an ethnic part, then you have to be specific. But if it's Pan-African, then I feel like everybody's included under that umbrella. That's the only time I feel like when you got to differentiate between the two, because by Pan-African standards, then Tracy Ellis Ross, Yara Shahidi, anybody who is from anywhere that was in the transatlantic slave trade and has any type of lineage tied to it, and anybody back in Africa, and anybody who's our skin complexion in Europe and China, whatever, we all black.
And is that what you believe, or?
Yeah, actually, I do. Okay, so it's weird, right? I believe in Pan-Africanism. I'm definitely a Pan-Africanist. But I also, and the best way I can always explain it is trying to tie it to, if you were to, because a lot of people find it difficult to understand how I might perceive things. So I'll be like, when you think about the conversation we had about LGBTQ community, right? And then they talked about bi erasure. I think about Black Americans as the bi portion of the LGBTQ community. It's like, we know they there, but everybody else gets their identity that they can claim and tie to. But most people are like, no. When Black Americans themselves start saying, you know what, I am specifically Black and American, and y'all need to recognize that fact, it gets weird. People look at us funny, almost like we don't exist. Like, if somebody walked up to me right now, they're going to ask me, they'll be like, yo, what are you? Like, and I'll be like, I'm Black. And they'll be like, yeah, but where your family from? And I'm be like, from down south. And they're going to be like, yeah, but where? Like Jamaica? And I'm be like, nah, like, I'm just Black and American, bro. Like, and it's difficult for people to get that concept. Just like, when the reason I tied it to that is when people are like, they're bi, right? People would have a problem when they would be like, yeah, I like this one and I like this one. Like, I like more than one. And they're like, that seems greedy to me or something. Like, it just seems like you can't get the concept. So for me, when I'm identifying myself in terms of where I come from and where my people are from, it gets kind of difficult to explain that. So I'm like, it's very necessary not to blanketly just say everybody is Black all the time, unless you're talking from a Pan-African viewpoint. If you're not speaking from that viewpoint, then it becomes a problem, because people like me get blocked out and nobody understands. So that's my belief. That's how I carry myself with regards to that.
I mean, that makes sense though. Like, for you, like, you know, that's where you're from. So they can't tell you that that's not where you're from. Especially if you did your lineage and like, yo, this is where it is. I can't say anything else. You know, but yeah, I just think there's a lot of ignorance with that. It's just so crazy. Going to the comments one more time. Let's see what the people are saying, what the folks are saying in the comments. Nope, we ain't got no comments. Antoine Whitehead said, well said, brother. I think that was in reference to Will and what he was saying. HB2 and family should be more important than a corporate title. If HB2, London Taylor, HB2, and if that were the case, then why do Jews say you're only Jewish if you're born from a Jewish woman? Whoa, I didn't even know that. London Taylor just just dropped some knowledge on me because I definitely did not know that.
That's how they identify with their like Jewish people are they approach things differently anyway when it comes to race, ethnicity. A lot of how they identify with is culturally based. To be Jewish is a religion, yet they identify it like it's an ethnic identity.
Right.
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 You know, they're white, they're European, they may be German, but they look at it like they're Jewish. They identify with the same way black people identify with their Africazoid race. And people don't realize there's only really 4 main races on this planet. Everything else is ethnicity and cultural. A lot of this stuff is taught, if not the vast majority of it is taught. Because I take it back when I was in high school and me and Trish started dating. Now I know she's Puerto Rican now, but at the time I didn't know what she was. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know what she was.
Wait.
No, hear me out. And I really asked. I said, after like talking to her for a little bit, it wasn't like a long period of time. It's probably like a couple weeks. And I just asked, I was like, yo, what are you? Because I didn't know. Like you see how Trish, pretty girl, she could be Spanish, she could be just a cool Italian chick. She could have been Italian or white. Well, not white. I knew she wasn't white, but she could have been Italian. She could have been anything. You know, when she was Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really did not see race in the broadest sense from over black and white. You dig what I'm saying? If it wasn't black or white, everybody else to me was just another variation of something. I just didn't pay too much attention to it. Even our own mother, when I was much younger, I asked, I think I might have said this on the last episode. I was like, yo, is Umi white? Because she got the pointed nose, she had the freckles, she's way more lighter than all of us. Especially when she was young, like she was really like, I don't know if my mom's white or not. Maybe I'm biracial. I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I was young when I asked that question. I don't even think Sophia was born yet. You know, so it's not until you start getting into like other people's lives, and that's usually happens when you start going to school and you start traveling, you start realizing that planet got a lot of different colors on it, and that's when you really start identifying with race. I identified with culture growing up because that's how they taught us. They taught us about everything under the sun that ain't had nothing to do with Martin Luther King. But then once you went to school and you learned about civil rights, and then you start meeting other people and your teachers is white. Because remember, I went to Muslim schools first few years. I didn't go to PS15 first. So that was later on when I went to first grade. But everything before first grade, and listen, I went to 3 Muslim schools. So people are like, well, first grade is usually the first. No, nigga, I went to 3 Muslim schools. Like, so one was in Staten Island. I had to cross the Verrazano. Every day got car sick. Another one was in Brooklyn. I forget where the other one was. So then I went to PS15, and that's when I really started getting exposed. That's how I learned how to stop speaking Arabic, because I ain't had nobody to speak it to. So all of a sudden I'm speaking English, and Arabic was like out of my life for a while. But back to the point I'm making, a lot of it is taught, not necessarily in the house, but once you start living life, you really start getting exposed to other people's way of living. And that's when you start identifying and you realize, like, okay, there is some differences here. It all depends on, though, how you polarize those differences. And I think what happens here in America, we just the world, I won't just say America, but I live in America. We just polarize the shit to an extreme. I'm all for identifying with, okay, you're lighter, you're darker, you this color, you're that race, you're that race. But when we start making it a competition thing, when we start looking at it like there's some level of hierarchy involved with it, I think that's problematic to the entire human race. And within our own culture, it creates this distrust and dissension. And I think we touched on it when we was talking about relationships. I think when we was talking about how some women look at the dark-skinned dude like they the strongest thing on the planet. For some of them be soft as cottonelle tissue. And they be looking at the light-skinned brothers like, yo, we soft, but we the ones that'll turn up and bust somebody ass quick because we got them hands. Like, You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So we do it everywhere in little cases. Like I even be saying, "Oh man, why you stop acting light skinned?" You know what I'm saying? Like I told my son's mother, I said, "Yo, you dark skinned, but you got a light skinned girl attitude. Like you need to chill." You know, but I was joking with her. I was joking with her though. You know what I'm saying? She like, "Shut up." But we do it in playful ways, and then other people do it in very destructive ways, and we just have to find somewhat of a consensus about how we look at each other within our culture first. Of course, is it that big of a deal? Is it really a preference, or is it some type of self-hate when you say you only date dark skin or you only date light skin? I've dated every female under the planet, man. Dark, Puerto Rican, white, it didn't matter. Like I never really cared about it like that. Now there is but so far I'm gonna go with someone who's not of my culture. You dig? I can only take it but so far because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to have those tough conversations when it comes to race. And when they talk about being equally yoked, some things have to be equally yoked for me. You did. So, you know, marrying a white girl wasn't really gonna happen for me. I need to take this call. Y'all take it.
All right. We gonna go to the comments real quick. Franchise catering. I don't see color. Every undercover racist ever. Yeah, that is a fact. A lot of them do say that. Sleazy actor Marcus Garvey's trip to Africa reminds me of Dr. Umar's school. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that. But I remember Garvey saying that he had some issues. London Taylor, Sleazy, don't be disrespectful. Marcus Garvey was official.
That's why I said in what way,
definitely was because he I guess because you know Garvey he ended up being stationed in Europe or whatever, or ended up having to bounce around. But was he kind of on a run or something like that? I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I know Garvey, but I don't know his story in depth to speak on it. Who else? Well, who else speaking in the comments? HB2, and they're the only group of people who on Earth who do it for a reason, and that's a reference to Hassan talking about Jewish people.
Yeah,
well, they follow
right.
They follow the seed lines through men because men have the seed. Plus, it's less confusing than calling someone mixed.
I guess.
Family can be more important.
I feel like just jumping in there. They do a lot of things like that. Like even with the whole medical stuff. Like you have to be of their religion and of their people in order for them to do any type of anything medical. And I don't think I forgot how blood transfusions work in the Jewish community, but I know it's something like there's like a big taboo against blood transfusions in their community. Like so like they're very strict.
I mean, but at the end of the day, they got the support to do it though.
No, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying
a group of Haitians and Africans can't come out here with their own community talking about they practice voodoo and you know what I'm saying, do what they want to do.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Everything is like nah. But that's a different
a lot of that I feel comes with power. And I'm gonna tie this into the colorism, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like their community has a lot of economic power and money. And so they have a lot of freedom to do things a certain way. And I feel like because of if we're gonna let's categorize or generalize all Black people as similar, let's say, you know, Haitian, African, Dominican, Brazilian, whatever, like we all the same. I feel like here the problem is, and even overseas and in different areas, is we don't have the economic power that they would, which oftentimes pushes a lot of us, not all, away from people who look like us. There was a dude that I knew a while back, still know to this day. I'm not sure what he's, you know, doing, whatever, but he said one day, he was like, I don't date Black women because they can't give me the lifestyle I want to live basically he was dating a girl, she was Russian, and he was like, her family has money, they got whatever. I ain't got to worry. If I want to travel, we can travel. If I want to do this, we can do that. And I was like, why can't you do that with a black woman? Like, it was weird to me, but in his head, dating a black woman was already a handicap for him. Fast forward, another dude I was working with, and we were on a project, and he hired me for the project. And what ended up happening was he told me that he couldn't date a black woman. Like, they were walking across the street. It was a black woman walking across the street, and there was a white woman walking across the street. He was like, look at her. You see her? The white woman, she's fit, she's in shape, this, that, and the third. And then he pointed to the black woman and was like, I could never date her. Like, she's big, she's out of shape, she wouldn't make me happy, blah, 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 blah. And in my head, I was like, you don't know anything about that woman. I said, not to mention the fact the white woman was by herself, man. Shorty was with a whole man, like happy, walking across the street. So what you talking about? But it's like, I feel like there's this need to remove themselves from blackness because they feel like it lessens them, in my personal opinion.
I mean, that's the thing, though. I don't know if I mentioned this on the last episode, but the book Black Skin, White Mask by Frantz Fanon. That's exactly what the book is about. And it's an old book, but, you know, in the beginning, he talks about, you know, how black people already know two different languages. They have the language they speak to their friends and each other, and then they have the language they speak to black people, to white people. But as you read deeper into the book, it's the guy talking about the man going to France and making sure that he's trying to say his R's right when he's speaking French, as opposed to speaking Creole, and, you know, coming back fronting like he's better than everybody. And he's like, the more and more that he tries to assimilate, the more and more he escaped the bush in his eyes. And then in the next chapter, he's going on talking about the black woman and how the black woman is she falls in love with a white man, but it's not because of anything that the white man has ever done. He's like, oh, he has his bright skin and his blue eyes and his blonde hair, and he could provide for me and give me money and whatever. But it was like the black man could not do any of that for her. You get what I'm saying? And it was just like one of those things. It's like a status type of thing for a lot of people, and that's been happening since before any of us on this podcast was even here. That people see lighter skin, and actually not even outside of their own race, like white people, even like some Asian people and everything like that. It's like they see that as a upgrade, as opposed to just seeing it as like building with your own as an upgrade. You feel what I'm saying? Am I making sense to anybody?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's about self-worth. A lot of things is a reflection of your own personal self-worth. Like I remember I was working at a bank, and my boy Jarrell, we was talking about women, and he was talking about white girls. I mean, he was talking about black women, and he was like, man, but he saw a white girl in the bank, and he's like, yo, she bad, but I don't even know how to talk to her. I said, why not? And I ain't never spoke to a white girl. I said, she ain't shit. She just like the other chicks. You just talk to her, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people don't really understand that there is no benefit today in any particular race. The benefit is in the person that you with and how they align with what you already got going on with yourself. You know what I'm saying? I've dated the vast majority of the women I dated was black women, right? And if they didn't align with me, it's not because they were light skinned or dark skinned, because the lifestyle and the way I live my life just didn't align. And like even our sister, she's dating a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? And I don't know the dynamic of the relationship. I'm not going to say that my sister is looking at that as a come up though, because she got pretty much the same job he got. I don't know if she make more money than him, if she's a step up above him. All I'm saying is, knowing my sister, she ain't looking at that like as a come up.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? So I think that's but she could have if she didn't have any self-worth, Nadi is one of those people that's just determined. She's got a drive to her. She's accomplished some things for herself that she wanted to. So she understands the value that she has within herself. Now, does that add value to his life? I don't know. Because no matter what you do for yourself, it still may not add any value to somebody else's life. You dig? So I think that's about self-worth. If people feel like they can come up because of somebody else, it's more of a reflection of themselves than what the other person is bringing to the table.
Right.
And just jumping in, like for me, and again, I say this again, I've never dated outside of Black women, and I have no desire to, in all honesty. I could look at a white woman and I'm never attracted to them. I don't know what it is. I'm just not. And it could be like, and I could find a Black woman and it could just be facial features and features that align more with what's stereotypically seen as a Black woman or Blackness that attracts me more. But they can be the same complexion, like, because we got super light-skinned Black women that could be almost white in complexion, but their features don't look like theirs. So I would be completely not aligned with the ones that look like a white person's features. And that's just me personally. I don't know if it's because, you grow up around what you grow up around.
Yeah.
Whatever you're used to seeing in your family. And it was comfortable for me. Not to mention the fact that I also, on an outside of physical level, I feel like empathetically and culturally, it is a better feeling to align myself with a Black woman.
Did y'all see that video with the baby who was in the village? It was, I believe they was in a country in Africa. And they all brown skinned people, but then there was one kid that was albino. And I'm trying to remember it right. Somebody can help correct me if I'm wrong, but when the dark skinned kid saw the albino child, she fucking got scared, man, and ran from the fucking kid. So as much as I say it's taught and you learn it and self-worth, that was some shit that kid never seen in her life. And she ran away from that kid. So it's like when you talk about being in your environment and being comfortable with, that's one of those situations where that was just a natural response because that child never seen anything like that and never been exposed to it. So that wasn't a hatred more than it was like, that's different. I don't know what it is. I'm out.
There's actually a whole thing, though. I forgot what it's called, where they did a study and said humans are like the only animals that they'll see something that's different and are more likely to run away from it than approach it. But the fact of the matter is, when you see something that you're not accustomed to, like, it'll catch you off guard. Like if you look around all day, right? Matter of fact, let's flip this switch. If you were a white person and all you've lived in is your little silly ass community your entire life, and then all of a sudden the Johnsons pop up next door, you're gonna be like, who the fuck is this? Like, we gotta get them out of here. Like, either that or you can be like, I'm packing up and I'm moving. Like, me and my family are going back to our roots. We're going back. Like, you're gonna do something because you're not gonna feel comfortable. Like, so it's what you're used to. Like, and as a child, you pick up on things real quick about what you're used to. And if you grow up, I'm pretty sure, like, I went to public school in an area where there was Black, Hispanic, like white, Asian, like we were all there. So I was used to it, but even still with all of that around, I was still around Black people all day, every day. And so it gets weird after a while when you feel like something is not customary to you. Like if you, let's say for instance, right, a lot of us have this, like we got Black friends that we're with all the time, but we might go to work. If we work a 9 to 5, like I don't anymore, but still when I did, I was around a lot of white people, right? Some of those white people like to call you their friends, like to get cool with you. Then they want to do stuff after work hours. And you like, I don't even know if I would bring them around my people. Like I can't even see y'all coming around them. Like this would be a completely different situation. Like that's how it is. I feel like it's an associative thing. And I could, like me personally, I feel like I would have been that kid. I would have ran the other direction. I would have been that African child running away from the albino.
And then when you get older, right, you start seeing and getting out, and you start seeing the white girls with the black girl bodies, and then you don't run. You run
Nah,
to them.
I'm running. That's GMO.
Now you like, hold on. That's
I'm
something
running.
different. That's something different. You like, hold on now. What's that about? Yeah, but that's what happens, man. Like, you see some of these brothers, like they'll see a sister who got a sister body, right? And I'm not saying a sister body only in the sense that, as I know all sisters are different, but what I'm saying is that quintessential right amount of breasts, fatty, and sister body. But it's like something about when you see the white girl, she ain't supposed to have that. So you like, psychologically, I think brothers be like, that gotta be different. You know what I'm saying? That gotta be a different type of cupcake. Like you got the chocolate cupcake here, and you got that light skin cup, and you like, damn, that vanilla cupcake might be better than that chocolate cupcake. Let me go find out. Right? You just find out. And
yeah, crazy.
Buddy, like stay away from me. No.
Oh my God. Let's get to these comments. Let's get to these comments. HB2 and Pan-Africans are usually women worshippers. Where did you get that from, sir? I've never heard. I don't know. I can't vouch. London Taylor, albinos are always from Africa. They also get called witches over there. Yeah, I heard some horror stories, like reading up on them, like getting their bones grinded up, thinking they could
Mean about always from Africa though, like that might be the confusing part for me, but I definitely know about them thinking they're medicinal, like that they have healing properties, and that it's very dangerous for them to live in certain parts of certain countries, because they will definitely get abducted, definitely get murdered, chopped up, and yeah. So
and fact, Shaharia says that vanilla is never better than the chocolate cupcake.
Get that vanilla cupcake got roaches. Get it out of here.
It got roaches.
Wipe it off the table.
Who else we got? What else we got in here? London Taylor, in reference to what Will and Hassan was talking about, bingo, economic power conquers everything.
Because I feel like, if a lot more black people were rich, like in the sense of, like if it was a black Wall Street today all over where we were all earning and good, I don't think any of these complaints would be happening. Because I feel like everybody would be in a position where nobody's value would be tied to money. And I feel like a lot of times as we grow up older, we tie people's value to money, and then we make excuses for other things that are connected to it. And that's just my personal opinion.
Makes sense.
That's a fact.
Sleazy says, we got money also, we just don't move together like they do. That is
also true.
That is another fact. Ms. Lane says, why? What'd you say?
I was going to say, tying into the last thing, and this is another thing about the whole economic aspect, right? Y'all realize a lot of these Chinese food stores are closing, right? If you pay attention, and now these like seafood broiled places are popping up. But they popping up because they realize people aren't eating, like it's a whole thing. And I'm not going to.
They realize black women love crab legs, and they opening them shits up by the droves. Let me tell you what's going on with these Chinese restaurants, because I told that to my son's mother earlier this week when I was dropping them off. I said, you notice that your Chinese restaurant in your shopping center, they're not letting people in. Like the doors are closed, but they taking like takeout orders now. They not even letting them in. Drawback, I said to her, I said, now they really could cook them fucking cats and them dogs the way they wanted to, because ain't nobody in there to fucking check them.
And real quick, and then we're going to get into some more comments. People may hear this and be like, oh, that's racist, thinking Asian people cook cats and all of that. Fam.
Right.
If you look at the movie Super Cop with Jackie Chan, right? I remember watching it. Jackie Chan is my favorite. I bought the VHS. I was like, oh, this is lit. He in the restaurant and he says, hey, let me get a roast cat with string beans. I rewound it like 5 times just to make sure I heard what I heard. And that's what he said. He's
Like,
like,
we gotta be honest about this shit, man. And we gonna get back on topic. When it comes to food, the motherfuckers eat anything. Like, they think anything could be eaten. And when you go to their countries, there's no regulation against cooking a domestic pet. So I've seen by Bob Zimmer, the food on the Travel Network. He go around the world chasing all the different food. And motherfuckers got dogs and rats and shit hanging like chickens. Like, they eat that shit. So it's not, huh?
I said, this ain't nothing we making up.
Right, like people get offended. I don't give a fuck if they offended. Like, that shit is real. I'm not eating shit, but that's real. And when you know people are culturally, have this cultural, connection to cooking anything under the sun, like, you do got to be aware, because everything tastes like chicken other than lamb, goat, and beef, but everything else apparently tastes like chicken. So you could pass any of that shit off as chicken chow mein, and somebody's fucking cat is missing.
That's a fact.
You know, cat posters is around Queens. You know what it is.
Going back to the comments, Asians cook rats, slugs, and bugs. I can reference it anytime. London Taylor says. What else we got going? I remember Mills Lane said, "Why is my skin color a character?" We gonna get into that. Yes, Mills. Why is my skin a character? HB2N. Unclean foods have been pushed on the Black community for decades. Bottom feeders equals unclean.
Fact.
I'm guessing you don't eat shrimp.
I was going to reference that too, because that's another thing when you discuss what it was that we were forced to eat because we were given scraps. And granted, we made the best out of them, but culturally, we wouldn't normally have been eating that. And we were pushed these foods. That's why also the foods that we get when they come into our communities still ain't even the foods that they would eat. Like Chinese food, they don't eat that shit. Like at the end of the day, they do not eat that. Like they might eat it. As a kid ordering my food, I always noticed that I'm getting one thing and they in the back eating something off the menu.
They eating soup and rice and some vegetables. They ain't even eating meat.
That's a Fendi fact. More comments. Who else we got in there? I seen some other stuff. Black men were never rich. It was Black families that were rich. All right, we're gonna get into that too. Mills Lane, at the end of the day, can I trust her macaroni and cheese recipe over raisins? Yo, not for nothing. White people show raisins being put in potato salad one time, and now they are getting killed for putting raisins in everything.
Raisin water. Let me get some of that raisin water.
Isn't it more racist to date based on skin color than the type of woman she is?
Nah.
You said nah?
Absolutely not.
Why do you say that?
Nope. Yeah. I mean, me personally, because that would apply to me. Because a lot of my preference is going to be based on skin color. I'm going to ignore you if you're not the skin tone that I'm, and not even skin tone, if you're not the ethnicity that I'm looking for. And the ethnicity I'm looking for is going to come with a certain skin tone, whether it's this shade to this shade, and those skin tones are going to have certain features tied to them. That's what I was saying before. So, I mean, for me being a selfish person, no. I don't think so. Like, for me. But I feel like if everybody else on the outside is doing it, then yeah, they racist.
Yo, you stupid. All right, let's get one more. I'm gonna touch on that in a second. Let's get one more comment and then we're gonna move. Oh man, this is funny. It's not funny. Muhammad says Black people, aka Africans, cannot be racist. All right. That's another argument in itself, because people are like, how can y'all not be racist? And blah, 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 blah. We ain't never been in no position of power over here.
Well, we can be racially prejudiced,
right?
And I think some people conflate racism and racially prejudice as one thing, and it's not. Exactly. Racism is a power structure of a system that oppresses one race over the other. That oppresses one race and props up another race. But racially prejudice is basically drawing prejudgments based on race. That's what prejudice is a prejudgment of another person's race. So I have prejudgments of Asians. I have prejudgments of white people. We even have cultural prejudgments. It's culturally prejudiced, racially prejudiced. We're all prejudiced people in the end. But racism is definitely a power structure, and it's a European power structure, and it's been propagated throughout the globe for many, many, many years. So yes, he's right when he says Africans can't be racist, but we damn sure could be racially prejudiced.
Facts.
I
And
agree with that.
all right. So then he said, what was it? Oh yeah, Will. Hey, first of all, let's welcome Sharia onto the chat. The podcast from Silence Kills. What's up, sister? How you doing?
What's up? I'm doing okay.
We good. We trying to figure out some solutions to colorism. Hopefully we get there by the end of this podcast. You know how we do over here. We got a topic, we go back and forth, we dip and dive, but we always try to stay the course. But I was institutional racism is different from prejudice. London Taylor. Yes, it is. You are definitely correct. Will said if anybody else is doing it, like what you say, dating.
I said if it's a black person, right, then it's not racist. Black person doing it is not racist. I said if you doing it outside of black people, then you racist. I don't care what nobody says. Y'all can fight me. You ain't gonna beat me. So yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing. I'm watching National Security yesterday. And Martin was like, yo, you know, he was like talking to the dude. He wanted to talk to the dude's wife. Dude wanted him to talk to his wife to apologize on her because she left him. He figured out his wife was black. Like, that's your wife? He was like, yeah, sister. He beat the hell out of me and like started going in. And he was like, what? And then later on, he went to go get his car picked up, and the girl behind the counter was white. And Martin started trying to talk to her, like, oh yeah, you know, how you doing, Miss Darling, whatever. So the guy's like, what happened to all of that? You don't believe in like interracial dating? He was like, oh, I don't. When it's a black woman and a white guy, I can do what I want. I was like, yo, that's crazy. But Sister Shahari, have you had any experience with being discriminated against from black people because of your skin color?
I don't think so. I don't think I've been discriminated against, but I've had people call me light skinned, and I look at them like I don't feel like I'm light skinned, but I guess on the range of, you know, I kind of got offended. Like one, they felt like, oh, hey, light skin, like, you know, like that's a term of endearment, you know. But no, I don't feel like I was ever discriminated against because of my skin complexion. I don't feel like, I guess I'm light enough or dark enough. I feel like I'm kind of in between. So I haven't experienced that from my own people.
Okay, I can see that, because the reason why we're trying to get into it is because I know, you know, people that I've grew up with, even sometimes myself, it's like you put in a weird place from your own people when you have darker skin. And not to keep it on, not to, you know, sway in the other direction, in one direction, but it's the same thing for light skinned people too. I like white light skinned people have things placed on them that's negative just because they are light skinned, you know. So it's kind of equal, but worldly dark skinned people get the short end of the stick.
So I have a comment about that. I made this post on Facebook probably like 3 months ago, and I have received the most comments on this Facebook post than any other status I've ever made. I forgot the exact words that I said, but I said basically colorism affects dark-skinned people in a more negative way than light-skinned people. And I had people coming out the woodworks trying to defend their opinion. Like I had, you know, a few light-skinned people agreeing with me, but then a few light-skinned people saying I've always been, you know, picked on because I was light-skinned, this and that. And then I have like basically all of the dark-skinned people agreeing with me. But it was a controversial subject, but I do feel like, yeah, even though colorism exists, I feel like, you know, darker-skinned people get the short end of the stick every time, no matter what we're referencing.
Yeah, I feel like that's on a global level. That's because I know for a fact there's light-skinned people getting bullied because they're light-skinned.
Yeah.
And then it's like if you a light-skinned woman or a light skinned man, and you hanging around a bunch of people that's dark skinned, yeah, that's gonna happen.
You know what? You know what I feel like it is. It's the way in which it happens, right? So I feel like light skinned people get their fair share of it when it comes to colorism, right? Because sometimes there's an assumption like you're lighter, you're closer to whiteness, like you may talk or act different in certain people's viewpoints, or you have access to certain thing, or it removes you from blackness. So certain black people might not look at you as black as they are, so they might not associate with you as much. There are those things, right? But then I feel like the darker you are in the scale, complexion wise, the more of a danger it gets put on your physical life and your physical well-being. And I feel like that's where the difference is. Like it's more superficial the lighter you are. Like it's very real, but the things you deal with are more on a superficial level, whereas the darker the scale goes in terms of shade, the more egregious the behavior comes towards your physical well-being. At least that's in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I feel like the only time that it might actually be beneficial, and this is a weird thing, is darker skinned men probably get more attention from women than lighter shaded men. That's the only time I feel like it's like a benefit. But I feel like other than that,
that's Wesley Snipes for.
That's Wesley Snipes. You gonna put it on that, man? But no, I feel like that's the only time where there's like a benefit. But other than that, yeah, if you were to judge it on a scale and like look at it as a mortality thing, if we had a mortality scale that corresponded to people's skin complexion, I'm pretty sure the darker shade would get the short end of the stick, like Shaharia was saying.
I think so too.
That's definitely it, man. Because like I've seen like people get like harassed crazy because they was dark skinned, and then it's just a whole lot to tie into it. But let's go to some comments real quick, and then we're gonna get into this interview with Bill Duke. What they got going down. Okay, HB2N. When we have our own kingdom, we can call the shots. That's a fact, and that's what we're trying to get to, man. Who else?
What does this kingdom look like, though?
It look like Wakanda.
It is Wakanda. How the Wakanda has been stripped.
Motherfuckers can't even agree on the booth price at the barbershop. We talking about the kingdom. Motherfuckers be owning barbershops. Why my rent so high? Come on. Good.
London Taylor.
Look at these barbershops together.
I've always said I'll never let a white boy beat me. Am I racist?
No. Unless you're white.
That's funny.
That's funny.
I mean, let me ask y'all a question. Y'all watch
I'm going to watch it, but I haven't seen it.
Right, so, you watched it, Will? Did you feel a way about the white boy that was
definitely
the black stripper? Like you felt triggered a little bit.
I was waiting for the bouncer to lay hands on him, and then when it happened, you saw what happened. And
what happened, right?
More triggered. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and they don't know what we're talking about, so we ain't gonna keep it down. They look left out, but you follow me. Yes. So that part when she just say wouldn't let a white boy be, I think I definitely was triggered more because it was a white boy doing it.
And I think that it's weird, but it is a thing. You know why? Yeah. I feel like that then ties it into something I see more racially motivated. Like it becomes it's domestic violence, but then I feel like when you tie somebody, there are people who have dated outside of their race because they felt like it was better for them, right? And then the same people they dated outside of their race flipped the switch and started doing stuff the same, if not worse, than the people they were with intraracially, right? Yeah. But then it becomes a question, like if you were with a black person and they started beating on you, whether you were a man or a woman, right? You might be like, damn, why they like, what did I do wrong? Like, or what was the situation that happened? Like, did I not wash the dishes? Did I, anything stupid, right? But if it was somebody outside of the race, then you can be like, was this person a racist this whole time? And they would on me. Like then you start thinking about everything else that's happening. Because when that scene happened, and you knew what was going on with her over the course of everything, I was like, yo, is he racist? Like, is he beating her? She's like, is it because of this? Like, that's always
and then it goes back to what they was talking about. Is he, because she was a dark skinned girl, and is he dating her like it's a novelty piece, right?
Yeah,
a fetish,
Yo,
or did he really love
Speaking
her?
of that, have y'all seen this show? I know we're supposed to go to the comments, but it's this show on Netflix called, was it Bubblegum?
Yeah. With
you know what to talk about, right?
And she's
Bubblegum. She's an African woman.
What it's called?
Huh? Chewing gum. So she's an African woman, but she's from the UK. Her and her mom like super African and everything like that. So she got fired from her job. She's trying to date this white boy and everything like that. So she like trying to get money. So she ended up finding this dude to take pictures. Like he wanted, like she was like ended up dating him, I think it was. Or like he's like, yeah, just come over, we can hang out, whatever. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm into you and this, that, and the third, whatever. Then son just ended up making her like dress up in African clothing, like made her paint her face like a African tribeswoman, and had the skirt on and everything. And she's like so goofy. She's like, whoa, ha, 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 but she don't really know what's going on. And he's like, oh yeah, I like that. Da 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 da. And then his wife busts in, and his wife is black, and she's like, again with this? Like, what is wrong with you? So it was like he had a super fetish about African women, but they had to be like in African garb, looking tribal. Like, it was crazy.
Extra.
Let's get back to these comments.
This comment is definitely for me, so I'll wait till you're done reading it.
All right, Donisha. So, are we saying that it's acceptable that a person of color abuses another person of color, like no matter what race is, it's not okay? I don't think that's what he was saying.
That is not what I was saying. Absolutely not. I feel like if anybody abuses somebody, they deserve to get their ass whooped. I don't care what color you are. What I was saying was, there's another added layer that happens when it's somebody outside of your race. I feel like when I see it outside of the race, I start to ask additional questions as to, what went on in the scenario. Like, was it racially motivated? It's never an okay thing. Don't ever for a second think that that's what I'm saying. You know what? If that was ever what I was saying, you have permission to domestically abuse me, because that ain't what I'm saying. I'm just letting you know that is not what's going on right here.
Ridiculous. Next up, who else we got in these comments? HB2N.
This guy.
HB2N laughing.
I feel like this man, every other comment be good, and then the alternate comments be like
best of both worlds.
Toss-up. Maybe like the lottery with disrespect.
Right. Next, who else we got in here? Donisha, I would never. LOL.
She lying. She want to beat me up right now. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, her deadlift getting crazy too. Next, go to the comments. Do. Muhammad says, sounds like you even want to do what?
Fuckery.
He said that to HB. He said,
oh.
Yeah, that was a direct comment to HB. It is weird though. And
Muhammad also said entertainment, education, labor, politics, law, religion, sex, war, and economics, when all 9 aspects of life, and then build racial prejudice within those, then yes, we can be racist. Until then,
basically until we are established all of those.
Until we own our own, what. All right, so we're going to get into this interview with Bill Duke, and it was from his he's talking about colorism and why he created the film Dark Girl, and he was interviewed by this dude, brother Farrell Martin. So we're going to get into that and just watch that and then share our thoughts on that and get some
Show me the smart child. And why is she the smart child?
Because she is white.
Okay. Show me the dumb child. And why is she the dumb child?
Because she plays.
Well, show me the ugly child. And why is she the ugly child?
Because she black.
Show me the good-looking child. And why is she the good-looking child?
Because she light-skinned.
I think I remember most saying that, you know, if I had a little girl, I didn't want her to be dark.
I started this project 2.5 years ago, based upon my feeling that I wanted to give a voice to the voiceless. I'm a dark-skinned man, and when I was a young boy, I went through a lot based upon my skin complexion. And I saw what my sister and my niece and the children in my family have gone through. And still young people that I know are going through based upon, and the painful, we faced racism, which is one thing, but to face colorism within your own culture is like adding a layer of pain that is totally beyond description. When you're called a nigger by a white person because you're black, it could be light skin, dark skin, no difference. That's one thing. But when you're called tar baby by somebody of your own culture, or if, like in our film, young girl's mother says, she's riding in a car with her daughter and her friend, and she says to her friend, "My daughter is so beautiful, beautiful lips, beautiful eyes." Can you imagine how pretty she would be if she had any lightness to her skin?
I saw that clip, yes.
Now that mother doesn't mean any harm to her daughter, but in her belief system, what she's been given in terms of a value system harms her daughter because her daughter is crushed by that. So what we're finding more and more is that sometimes it's not a conscious effort to hurt anybody, but what it comes down to is pain that is something that is deeply held by children and they don't discuss because they feel they're going to be ridiculed by discussing it. So we're giving a voice to that discussion, and that's why I made the film.
I think this is a tremendous documentary. As a black man, we've often had these conversations among ourselves about the women that we choose to be with, who we can be with and who we can't be with, and why there are differences, with both black, dark skin and light skinned women. And after living through this and never having anybody present it like you're about to do, you've opened up a chance for us to have some dialogue about this.
Well, thank you. I think the reason we think that dialogue is important is because it's the beginning of healing. If you hold things and you don't discuss it, does bad things to the human body, psyche, everything. And we're not psychiatrists, historians, psychologists, or any of that. We're filmmakers. But media is, as you know, an extremely powerful tool in terms of shaping how we think about ourselves and the world around us. I think media is guilty of two sins when it comes to us as a culture. The sin of commission, as I was discussing earlier, where when you're shown, it's either as some kind of thief going to jail through the news, or some kind of robber, or some kind of killer, or some kind of, prisoner, or some kind of bad thing or buffoon, something that's not desirable culturally or intellectually. I'm committing to saying that this is what you are because I have a lot of other options to show who you are, but I'm showing this. And it's global. The sin of omission is a bit more insidious in the sense that, sense of omission is whenever there's a hero, a thing of beauty, a holistic family, you're not there. So we have a 6-year-old child in our film that took the test of the dolls, but the dolls are on paper, and she's darker than me, and we ask her, which is the pretty doll? She said a white doll. Which is the ugly doll? points to the white doll. I mean, the smart doll points to the white doll. What is the ugly doll? The doll the same color as a finger. That's the ugly doll. What's the dumb doll? Her finger. Now, this child is 5 or 6 years old. She's getting it from someplace. And her mother's not saying that to her. Something else of power is suggesting that she has no worth. And so what we're saying as filmmakers, we want to impact that child. We want to take her finger off the picture and let her understand that all the dolls are beautiful, including her. That's what responsible media filmmaker people do. Use media in a positive way to adjust perceptions that do not celebrate our humanity. And no one's coming to save us. We have to do it. That's what you're doing with this piece and what TV One is doing overall, and why you're so vitally important to our community, is nobody else is going to do this. And somehow we're waiting for the savior, blonde hair or something, to come along and say, we bless you with salvation, and it ain't going to happen.
You mentioned that this was global, but let's just talk about the United States first. How many people did you interview, Black women, and what regions of the country did the attitude differ in any?
Oh man, 100 or more, I can't remember the exact number, but went to the South, Mississippi. We were in New York City, Poughkeepsie, New York, LA, I think New Jersey, I mean, just a lot of different places. And the response did not differ that much because it's something that we've inherited on many levels. From an historical point of view, we've inherited it from slavery, but slavery is a trauma that impacted us on a quantum physics level, which we examined in the movie. Fundamentally, everything that you see physically eventually dissolves into energy, in terms of subatomic particles. And they can prove now through quantum physics that energy has intelligence. And so we've been impacted through slavery on a subatomic level. We have to address it. We have to understand that many of the things we go through, we've inherited from that trauma. How we see each other, how we treat each other is based not just on preferences that are conscious, but on things that happened to us a long time ago. And so when we go from city to city, we hear the same story. It's not a different story. Pain is pain. And so it's also less about color than it is about self-esteem. Women get their hair extensions and they're getting their skins lightened and they're getting whatever because they don't feel that who or what they are is beautiful. The irony of it is that white females are going to tanning salons twice a week, getting dark as they can, getting their hair crinkled up, Botoxing their lips to look more ethnic. There's no logic in this. This is a matter of not color, but self-esteem. You're never going to be beautiful enough. All women are dark girls because whatever standard is set, you're never going to meet it. And as soon as you get close, they say, oops, we've changed it, but we love you so much. We're going to help you get to the new standard. Here's some new progress.
So in closing, why is it once again important for everyone to go see this?
It's important because it's important for us as filmmakers to let women know that God does not make mistakes. How you were born is fine. If you're gonna put extensions in your hair, fine. That may be a beauty choice. If you want to, I don't know, lighten your skin, that's your choice, whatever it is. But the way you were born is fine. And whoever says that is not, is either one of two things, a liar or a business person. That's simple.
Skin color amongst the Black community is a huge issue in our time.
This is not a phenomenon. It's just the reality in the Black culture.
Now I gotta go watch that joint because I didn't even see it. I just saw, but the Logic pointed this out to me and had me put it onto the podcast. But I don't think there was nothing in that interview that he said that wasn't correct. You know what I mean? Because it's the trauma from slavery, and then that energy gets transferred, and now we carrying that along with, self-esteem issues. You know what I'm saying? And I've said this all the time, like, especially when, and I don't even want to say their name, but when the Kardashians started being popular and, they allowing this girl, Kylie, to market, lip stuff for fuller lips when she bought hers. Like, how you let somebody with no lips tell you how to get lips? Like, and I hate to say it like that because now it sounds like, I'm tapping onto her low self-esteem issues and everything like that. But it's like, that's weird to me. And now everybody trying to get the fake butt. And it's like, do you realize that these women are trying to look like you? Trying to look like something that you have that's already in your culture. And this is where the whole cultural appropriation conversation kind of happens. Not for the body type situation, but it's like people don't understand that it's a thing of, we're not saying you can't do these things, but when you erase where it comes from, that's when it becomes appropriation. Because when they wear their little cornrows, it's cool, but when Black women been doing it since forever, it's ugly, it's ghetto. When they got nameplates and gold teeth, oh, it's trendy now. But when Black women was doing it since however long, it could be all of them with gold teeth nameplates and wearing fila suits and everything like that. They're ghetto, but now that they do it, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? And just the colorism with our own people is really, really disgusting because it's just so disheartening. Go ahead, Will. You want to say something?
When it comes to people outside of the Black community that do it, they do it for a level of edge. It's like an accessory. Blackness is an accessory for them. They like using it when it's convenient and turning it off when they can't. It's just like if you go to somebody's house, you love kids as long as they ain't your own, right? It'd be like, yo, that's my niece and my nephew, but I'm good as long as I know they stay in their ass here when I'm ready to leave. Like, it's one of those situations. Yeah. Like, and I feel like that's how they approach our culture. And that's one of the things that we talk about all the time is we don't have the ability to turn that off. And then with the colorism aspect, it's the same way. Like when you think of lighter skin versus darker skin, like that proximity to being closer to Blackness or closer to other is what's going to make you feel a certain way about it. And some people don't have the luxury of pretending they aren't what they are or having the convenience of some of the privileges that come along with it. And I think that that's a big thing that happens. I think it's depressing and I think it's annoying. And I hate the Kardashians because of exactly what you said, but it's a whole marketing thing. And it's just like, you can't say, don't be like, I hate saying, this because I don't want to pull on her own insecurities, but nobody would go to a barber or a hairdresser that was bald headed. Like 9 times out of 10, if you a woman and you wanted to go get your hair braided, right? Or you wanted to go get your locks retwisted, you're gonna go to shorty whose locks is clean and nice and all twisted up perfect. You're not gonna go to shorty with bald head.
Sorry to cut you off, Will.
What?
I think that applies for men, but I've heard plenty of women say, yo, if the hairdresser hair is done, that means she ain't good because she shouldn't have any time to do her own hair because she's doing so many.
I ain't never heard that. Whoever that is,
I've heard that mad times, yo. I heard that mad times, like, yo, why your hair looks so good? Nah, that means she trash because she ain't got no heads in her seat.
Somebody else is gonna be doing her hair, which means she knows who to go to. So why?
Yo.
Like that is that is.
Yo, when I heard that, I was like, what in the world? But that's crazy. But what do y'all think about what the brother Bill Duke said? Shout out to him for this video, for this
He's 100% right as far as I care. my concern always was, you know, it's like they're learning it from somewhere. The only thing I do semi disagree with is that, and it's not necessarily a full disagreement, but I kind of feel that some of the learned behavior does come from a parent in some aspect. It's not always outside. Some of these parents literally resent the kids that they have sometimes because they don't look a certain way. And this is some real shit that happens. So he said it like, you know, it doesn't, but it definitely is perpetuated somewhere. And it does happen with some of these families that are out here, and they do not like some people be talking about how they would, you know, I'm gonna marry or get with this person because I want my kids to be this way.
Right.
Kids to look like this. And then if they don't get that, they kind of hold a little resentment towards that child if that child don't come out looking how they expected them to. And I think that shit is a little ridiculous. Or they talk about that's even their hair texture. You know, doing their, oh, you don't have good hair, or your hair is this. Yeah, like, yo, it's mad stuff that pulls into it that does come from the home a lot of the time. And that's also a reason why some of these kids don't even like being in their homes. They prefer being outside of it because that's their only break away from a toxic environment.
To touch on what you were saying about, you know, some people resent their kids. I don't know if it was resentment or it was just flat out racism or this woman just really had problems. But Bunny showed me a video of this black girl, right? She had a black father. Her mom's was white. Her mom's had a son from a previous marriage or whatever who was white. The black girl wasn't allowed to use the washing machine to wash her clothes. She was like, and she put a video out like, yo, she's crazy. I don't know what's going on. My father passed away and she's been treating me this way. I'm not allowed to use the washing machine. When I use the washing machine, I get in trouble. When she filmed it, she was just like, I told you not to use the washing machine, right? She was like, I'm sorry, I just needed to wash my clothes real quick or whatever. She was like, no, you go to the laundromat, you don't wash your clothes in here, and just like going crazy. And then the girl was an artist. She threw out her art supplies. Anybody who bought art supplies, no, that stuff is not cheap. Her canvases, her brushes, her paint, all that in the trash, and like kicked Shorty out. And the girl was trying to go get her stuff out the garbage can, and she's sitting there smiling, talking about, oh, if you dig into my garbage can, I'm gonna call the cops and all the other stuff like that. And it was just like, this is why when people be like, oh, biracial children have a choice, they don't. They get treated as black children no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy. If y'all are not noticing what's going on being showed, it's Sarah Bartman. And Sarah Bartman was put into a zoo. She was kidnapped and put into a zoo because of how her body looked. You know, she had a big behind, and they said she had a elongated labia and everything like that. Pretty much, she looked like every other black woman you've seen growing up. And back then, it was such an anomaly for people that she got put into a zoo, and it's just horrible. She got put on display, and that's pretty much how some of these girls, that's pretty much, it's playing out today the same way when it comes to, you know, the butt injections and European, all of a sudden European people from European descent are fascinated with big behinds. But this is something that black men and women been seeing all their life. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's weird. And I actually was talking at work about this because the amount of fake butts I see at work is like ridiculous.
Disgusting.
And it's not even like, it don't even look good. It's not proportioned right. It's just like, you look like you got fake something done. And they be
the side to ass ratio ain't matching.
Right.
Like,
it's the same thing. You got this big old behind on 2 toothpicks. Nothing else match. You got your fat sucked out of your stomach too. So now I can see it from the front and not in a good way. It just looks wild. Go ahead, Will.
You saw that? What show was it? Atlanta? Was that Atlanta? the what's his name? The TV show.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Shorty had, I think that was it. I don't remember which show it was. And Shorty got the butt injections, and she was like, you could tell she was insecure about how she was feeling about her body, and she got butt injections. She wanted to. I think Fat Joe was like the strip club owner. I don't remember which show it was, but she was dancing, and then she like slipped, and she fell, and like it busted open, and her butt popped, and all this other stuff. Like it just
was. I think that was Atlanta.
I don't remember, but if it was, either way, it's just like, why? Like, there's no indicator of what this is going to do to you later on down the line.
Logic said it was She's Gotta Have It.
Is that what it was? Yes, it was She's Gotta Have It. Thank you. Thank you.
Netflix.
Now I remember. I definitely remember. It was definitely She's Gotta Have It. And Shorty slipped, boom, just like confetti, like in the strip club. Like, it was ridiculous. But like, and then it don't even be realistic. Like,
right.
And there's some dudes doing it too. They're gonna eliminate them because I see it some out here.
Yo, and
probably in Atlanta.
A girl said, a girl posted like, yo, why is it such a thing where like girls are getting dragged for having fake this and that and the third, and I was just like, yo, it's the fact that it's not the fact that they getting dragged for it. One, it don't look good, and to be honest, men do it too. It's just that men don't really care about nothing sometimes when they do stuff. Like they got fake abs, they got fake biceps, calves, all that implanted.
You seen the dude with the whole plastic, whatever it is he got in his arm, his biceps look ridiculous. Like it happened, and they look stupid too.
They do it, but it's just like they don't care. I think that's a lot of when it comes to things with women. It's always on display and always being spoken about because it's like a lot of the time it's like a care. Like, dude, to be like, why? Like, for instance, how come a guy can sleep with a whole bunch of girls and not get called a hoe and da da da? No, they get called hoes all the time. They just don't care. It's like, so I don't care.
Definitely get called out. I think it's just the way that it's perceived. But dudes definitely get called hoes. Shit, they get called hoes. They get assumed to be a hoe from jump. Like most dudes are already presumed to be a hoe from jump before.
Yeah, I got assumed of being a hoe because I'm a dancer and choreographer. I was like, what?
Y'all get a bad rap.
You had a lot of joints. You had a lot of joints over there at the OPC. I saw a lot of joints over there.
Listen,
I was like, what's locked around about some joints? I
need all business, brother. All business.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the question is,
Shaharia said.
Like, how do you feel about the injection aspect?
Who?
Being a woman, Shaharia.
I feel like you should be thankful for what God gives you. You know, fake butts, I don't feel like they look good. I feel like it's very noticeable. You know, when certain races get lip injections and Botox, facelifts. But the fake butt, I feel like that's probably the most obvious. I feel like it's pointless, but I can understand why some people may get that. The male gaze. You know, a lot of men and a lot of Black men are attracted to women who are curvaceous and with big butts. That's just the fact of it. And if they feel like their butt isn't big enough, they're not getting enough attention. And then, you know, low self-esteem issues and a whole other variety of issues. But a lot of women just want to seem more appealing, more sexy, you know. That's what men like. They wouldn't do it if men didn't like that, you know, like.
Yeah, it's still self-worth though. Bill Duke kind of touched on it. Man, we like it, but if we like you, it's certain things that's passable. Like we ain't gonna trip too much. A lot of it though is an image thing. And if you allow yourself to be, you know, seduced by the images that's out there to where you think that you have to embody what you see because you think that's what everybody wants, then you can go down that journey and end up making a decision. Like I dated a chick like who felt she needed to get breast implants. She was a skinny chick, you know what I mean? About that much booty, about that much titty. But like I said, yo, your nipples are amazing though. Like she had But they were like the best nipples I ever
It be
seen.
like that. Go ahead,
You
go
know,
ahead.
I
I'm
mean,
with
they
you.
were
Go
the
on.
best nipples you ever seen. Like they was always perky. They was never like down and out. They was always ready. You know, but you know, I thought that was a good quality. So you know, you try to give her some self-esteem. So she found herself going to the gym a lot, and she's like, "Cause I know that's what you like." I said, "Why you feel like that's what I like?" I don't care. That's a lie. I seen pictures of all your. She was on my Facebook, and I saw your baby mama. I seen they all got big booties. I said they just happen to have big booties. Like that ain't got shit to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I like you for you. So she was real insecure about that. Because
Yeah.
to be honest with you, guys, for the most part, we can't tell the difference, nor do we care about the. I dated a chick who had breast implants. I didn't know she had breast implants until I grabbed them joints in a real way, and I felt the little scar underneath. And I was like, "Oh shit, she got breast implants." But I didn't know before that because I didn't care about it. It was just, you know, me and her was cool, and we had that type of connection at that particular time. But with that being said, there are some women out there who's light in the trousers who might definitely want to go ahead and get that pushed up a little bit because guys would be like, yo, she ain't got no ass, be like nothing. You know what I mean? And
you know,
Light in the trousers.
light in the
light
trousers.
in the trousers.
Ridiculous.
She was light,
You know
like,
what's
you
crazy
know,
though?
like nothing fits well. Like not even the leggings. Like the leggings are baggy. Like it's just
Cardi B actually touched on that, and she was just like, "Yo, when I started stripping, I was stripping in the black strip club, and you know, I wasn't getting no tips because I didn't have the body." And she was like, "I went to the white strip club, and I wasn't really getting no tips because I ain't had no breasts." She's like, so I got my breast done. I was like, okay, whatever. I tried to go to the black strip club, I didn't get none. So I got my butt done. I went to the white strip club. I wasn't really. They didn't care about my butt. They just cared about my breast. It was like a weird thing. So she ended up, and mind you, she got kicked out of her crib, so she had to do it for the bread. And she was
she
just
didn't
like,
have
yo,
to, but she thought she had to.
right. She was like, yo, and I didn't care where I went, where I got it from. I went to this lady, went to her little basement or whatever, and got it done. She was like, I wish looking back, I wish I never did it. Because she was like,
Right.
she kept it 100. She was like, I don't know what I got back there. I don't know what's in
Gorilla
there.
glue.
Okay, Michelle got rid of her
That
joint.
gorilla glue. Yeah, she
Right.
did, and I was glad she did. First off, she didn't. Okay, let me shut up. I'm not a proponent for body modification like that. Like that's just me.
Do some squats. Word.
It's just it is. There are some. Don't get me wrong. There are some people who get it done, and they get it done, and it's proper in terms of proportionate. And then there's some people. Majority of people seem to not know how to do that, and they get it, and they be overboard, and they just want a little bit more, a little bit more. It's like they get addicted to it, and then it's like, why do you look like that? Now you look like a Bratz doll, or now you look like Betty Boop. Like something's wrong, and we know your waist and your butt ain't like this. This is a very small percentage of people who are built like that, and you ain't one of them. So cut it out. Just like I don't know. Just it's a lot of. I think somebody said it. I do feel like a lot of the times it is a form of self-hate, and not self-hate necessarily in, you know, your race and your people, but self-hate in who you are when you look in the mirror, like who you see, and then which also does tie into colorism sometimes. But
exactly,
you know,
and
it's just a huge thing.
Some people getting it and they don't even need it.
Yeah.
Let's hit these comments real quick. Brian Finley, shout out to him. Implants are tied to self-hate. This a lot deeper than what it seems.
Yeah, that's who said
More
it.
times than not. Des B1, Kim Kardashian is walking around looking like Penguin from Batman Returns now.
Yeah, ain't lying. She looked like a stilt walker with a fat butt. Like she out here looking bad.
She looked crazy. She looked crazy.
Disrespectful.
Keenan Kong says silicone or saline, talking to our son. I don't think he really knew.
Man, I don't know what the fuck she had, man. Silicone, man, she had something.
I prefer.
Keenan Kong says I prefer all natural, but black China can get it.
They got a fake body too.
Her joint look disgusting.
It looked crazy, and I saw that.
Yeah.
that video. No, thank you.
Right, that was all bad. Next one, who else we got up in here?
Weird tunics.
Weird tunics. Keep them guessing.
And let me just touch on it because I don't want to get too far off topic because I know you got a thing that you're sticking to. But for most guys, I feel, or at least for me, I'm gonna talk for me. Like, I'm way more into your face than I would be your body before anything else.
Speak on it, brother. Speak on it.
You could have I can, and it's like Hassan was saying, there are things we will overlook. Like, we don't really be like, there's things that you ain't really got to worry about. Like, okay, you might be lacking in whatever area you feel you may be, but we might be like, yo, you cute. Like, I'm with it, and we don't care about that. Like, I know I had an ex who I could tell she was super insecure, sort of like how Hassan was telling. Her breasts were like non-existent, nipples were nice. But she was on some, she ended up later in life getting her breasts done. But I'm like, you didn't need to do that. But at the end of the day, you know, it's an insecurity that some people have, and they look to change that, and so that they feel better about themselves. But most men, I feel like, don't be that superficial where they care about stuff like that. If you got a cute face,
really much you could do.
I'm gonna be like, yo, my shorty cute though.
Right, I gotta be able to look at you first.
Exactly.
Foremost, I gotta be able to look at you.
You can be first off, I'm not a proponent. Like, I'm not a fan of like super thick women. Like, that's not my thing. I've always been like track fit, slim fit. Like, that's just me. But
I take them all down.
You could have a super dope body, and if your face ain't right, I'm not giving you the time of day. I'm not looking at you at all. We can have a conversation, but we're definitely not going to talk romantically. Like, that's not going to happen. So you got it. But if you cute in the face and nothing else seems to necessarily be that popping, I'm still probably going to be able to talk to you because your face is on point.
Facts.
King Kong says attraction is based on whatever fad is popular nowadays for the most part. I could agree with that. Who else we got up in here? Some women get implants due to breast cancer complications. That was a conversation that I had with somebody.
She ain't had breast cancer. She just want bigger titties, man. Cut that out.
This man.
That shit out. Yeah, gonna get all deep and shit.
It's one thing. Now, that's a real thing, though. Some people do get it because of breast cancer. And
I know one of my friends got breast implants because she had cancer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I respect that. It's Lola's friend, one of her best friends, but you know, like, she got the whole reconstruction shit done. She had stage 2 or stage 3, beat the shit, rung the bell, got the titties done on her birthday. She was feeling good, you know. So we know that, but that ain't what we talking about.
Right. Who else up in here? Brian said the face and her energy is what attracts me.
Thank you, Brian. You know what it is.
All right, one more comment.
You know the vibes.
There's someone for everybody. Smile 69 Network Show.
Come on with these clear cliches, smiles. Someone for everybody. Come
It's true. It's true though. That do be a
what will the
default.
wall say? God got a plan for you. He's like, dude, you trying to get put on? Like, yo, can I get on the stage? He's like, I don't know, man, but God got a plan for you.
Right.
You know what? We sitting here and we talking about this, but Shaharia, how you feel? For you, like which you want? Like, does it matter? Like, are you preferential to face? Like, does the body got to be on point? Like, does it need to be both? Like, what is it?
Okay. So I guess the first comment I want to make is I agree that I feel like most men don't really, care about, if she got a big butt or whatever, because I don't have the biggest butt, but I feel like I got a nice butt, like I feel like it's cool. I feel like I have a pretty face, but I could be out here with, sweatpants, t-shirt, and I get attention whenever I walk out, even if I feel like I'm looking crazy and I don't feel like I'm the most curvaceous, like I'm slim. And I used to have, self-esteem issues because I was flat chested, like just flat everywhere. I felt like I kind of looked like a boy, but like over time, I realized that I'm getting way more attention than a lot of other people, especially because of my personality, my energy. But in terms of my likes, I guess I don't look for a man to be curvy, or nothing like that. So when it comes comes to that, I think it's just I like height.
Dark skin. Look like she got to go dark skin. Looking
No,
like
see, me,
a man
I
gotta have
love
a pooper.
a chocolate man. You know, the
see.
chocolate berry. That's
Self-hate.
always a plus. But
Self-hate.
I like height.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
like height. I like a smile. I like how you approach me, how you talk, first impressions. You know, just like all of those things. The way you smell. That's a big thing for me. The way you smell. Like the cologne. I don't care about what type of belt. If you got a designer, I don't care about none of that stuff because I don't care about none of that stuff for myself.
The good
Like I feel
belt.
like if it, if it look good, I'm wear it. It don't have to be
That
designer.
belt gonna be
They don't
fake
care
anyway,
about me.
nigga.
Yeah, most times. But yeah, you gotta smell good. You gotta know how to approach me. You gotta know how to talk to me. You gotta have respect. Those things.
Everything I don't got. Good job. Let's go.
This man.
All right. So
I'm just
have
playing.
some questions.
I'm just joking. I'm very respectful.
There's a couple
Okay.
of questions that some
I'm just
people
joking.
from the Where's Love group had asked. Ashley Isaacs, she asked, "What's the best way to raise your children to accept / love themselves despite the way the world views them based on their skin tone?"
Oh, that's easy. That's easy, man. You gotta pour love into your kids, man. As a father, man, my son is the most affectionate, the most caring kid that I've ever seen because we poured that into him.
Right.
So from the moment he was a kid, we just be like, "Hey, man, how you doing? You good? We love you." But just for nothing, now he does it, and I think I touched on that before. It's like they're gonna reflect what you pour into them, and that's just the reality, man. We don't really identify with like light skin or dark skin shit. Like he's so caught up in the games, he might start having an issue to determine what's real and what's fake. But you know what I'm saying? As far as light skin, dark skin, like he don't get caught up in none of that. Like you just gotta pour into your kids what you want them to pour into somebody else. And a lot of that is just about love, giving them that attention, giving them that time, building them up. Cause kids are naturally, confident, but all it takes is one frustration to make them feel insecure about something. They think they could fly until they jump down the wrong flight of steps. Now they scared to death to go down the stairs. You just got to constantly reassure them. Like right now, Salah kid, JJ, he's fearless, super confident. You could tell just how he looks in the mirror, in the camera and everything. All it takes is somebody say the wrong shit to him or something happen, and a lot of that stuff can like take a step back because now he's starting to see this another way to look at the world. So as a parent, they're gonna have to continue to pour that into them. So when those things happen, they'll still be able to stay on that track, making sure that they're still confident and they still love who they are.
That's a fact. Anybody else?
Yeah, same thing. And it's kind of what I guess what Keenan is saying. But I say I love you all the time to all of my kids. Like they to the point where I know they get tired of it. Like I'll hold them down, tickle them, and tell them, and they grown. Like they 19. My twins is 19, but they know if I get to a point and I roll up on them, I'm like, give me a hug. Don't you move away from this hug. I'm about to pull you down, and now you ain't gonna be able to do nothing about it. And they know it's a funny thing. And my 15-year-old too, he'd be like, yo, get away from me. But it's one of those things. Like I'll shower you. Like if I'm on the phone, like I love you. If I'm getting off, I love you. Like we next to each other, I love you. Like it's all of that. And then I sit down and have conversations with them. Like, yo, know your worth. You are amazing. You're intelligent. You're beautiful. People want you, but they also going to try and beat you down out here. But just understand that you're worth it. And what anybody tells you ain't what you really are unless they're telling you something positive.
Yes.
So, like I hit them with that all the time. So I feel it. Like you
Yes.
definitely got to instill that in them.
Right. Charlie, you want to touch on that before I get into this next question?
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like I definitely feel that you're supposed to pour into your child all the love so they won't go looking for it nowhere else. Like, let them know that you love them. Let them know that they are worthy despite how people look at them. Let them know that they are beautiful despite what society says or despite who's in the music videos, who's in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's super important. I kind of fear for my son a little bit because I feel like a lot of people are already going to stereotype him and just want him for kind of like this. I have a light-skinned baby and his texture is different from mine. It's like he has looser curls and people are already saying, oh, he's gonna be a lady stealer, like a ladies man, just he's gonna be a pimp. Like so many things I've heard and I've been like, don't call my son a pimp. Like what?
Right.
Like, I got to keep my daughter away from your child. No. Like,
Yeah, I'll be sure.
that just feeds into it from an early age. And I just got to stop people. Be like, don't say that to him. Don't call him that. Like, he is a boy. He's a black man, you know.
Can I just touch on that? Because that's a similar thing. And it's almost in because people say that as like a sort of positive thing to give your child some kind of accolade for being, and it's weird because there's that side, and then there's the flip side. Like when Serena Williams was sitting down with the interviewer. I don't know if you remember when she was younger, and the white guy was interviewing her. And he was asking her, and he was like, "You don't feel like you're not scared of da 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 da." It's like they start to instill these things at a young age, and they don't realize.
Her father had to jump in and was like, "Yo, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, and he was like, "Stop asking that." She answered it for you. She answered that was enough. It's the same thing. Like you talking about, they're saying, "Oh, he's gonna be like a ladies' man or a lady killer," whatever the case may be. Like they don't realize that stuff can be detrimental mentally. Like if they pick up on that and they hearing this stuff as they're younger, like we. There was a time where people just thought, oh, it's harmless, but they didn't. I don't think people realize when you're that young, that's when you're picking up the most from the world. So everything you picking up, you're absorbing, and everything it's like a memory card, and that shit is just getting written on there slowly but surely, taking up more and more space until it's saved there permanently. And now you got to deal with deconstructing it and getting rid of it later on. Like it can be very, very, very detrimental when people do stuff like that.
It's very similar to a kid who goes through life without many obstacles. Like in her case, her son being like a ladies' man, right? The moment he get his heart broke the first time, it can affect him in the sense where now he feels like, I don't want to experience that again. Or he might feel like he's the lady man and that girl shouldn't have said no. And now we're dealing with a whole nother issue.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it can have a lot of effects on us. I agree with that.
Wow. All right, so let's get into some solutions. How do y'all feel that's B1 Hold On said that's important, fill them with love inside the home so they don't go looking for love in the wrong places. That's a definite fact. Agree. My daughter hears I love you at least 10 times a day. I say that to my son and kiss him all the time. And he know how to do it back. Like one of the first things he learned how to do. So let's get into some solutions, man. That's what this podcast is about, is like finding a solution to these issues that we have in our community. So how do we, it's going to be tough, I know, but what are some of the steps we can take to ending or just combat the colorism that goes on in our community?
It's like I said earlier, I've never really witnessed it in a way that I felt like it was a problem. A lot of it were like jokes, and we would do it to each other. And a lot of the jokes we made weren't about the color more than it was the person's culture. Like I think on the podcast, one of the episodes, I talked about how we used to call each other, oh, you dirty Haitian, or you dirty African. Like it wasn't the color thing. It was just more of a cultural, thing with us as kids and making jokes. But from the outside looking in or the inside looking within myself, I think the best way to do is just deal with people based on their character, deal with people based on how your personalities align. I don't think it has anything to do with your color. I don't think I should prejudge a person and think because they're dark skinned they should know how to fight, right? Or because they light skinned they soft. I shouldn't look at a woman, think she light skinned, she's stuck up, and if she's dark skinned, she should be able to handle me being an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we just approach people in a very respectful manner, be kind. Don't have a perception or predetermined perception of who they are before you get to know them. I think that's a good way.
Yeah, I agree.
Anybody else?
I feel like it starts at home first, from a young age. I think, like we said, we need to fill our kids with love because that's where it starts to grow. Because the same way people is out here building proud little races, we be building insecure children sometime by not filling them with that amount of love that they need growing up. And then I have this twofold solution. One is I feel like it affects Black women, the colorism, more than it affects Black men intracommunally. Like within our community, I feel like it affects them more. And I feel like the whole school days, good and bad hair skit and everything that went on with that is an example of it. But like that's actually perpetuated throughout society. And I feel like this is something that needs to be solved, where they can find themselves on equal ground and realizing that their skin complexion is just one factor that's different between them, but they're still similar in terms of who they are as people. Like the other thing though, because I feel it contributed to that, was more so the perception of the media and how we contributed as Black men to the perception of media. Sometimes I feel like what we ended up doing, if we were to look at hip hop, for example, most of the music videos at one point, there was a specific skin tone that was represented. And I feel like that led people to believe that that was more of what we wanted, where to deconstruct that, we kind of got to balance that out. I feel like it's changed a little in recent years. And you're seeing a lot more of not the so lighter skin or Black woman in a video. You might find more brown and darker skinned Black women. They balance it out a little bit more. But I feel there needs to be better representation of richer, I like to say richer skinned Black women in media, in videos, in shows. So that way we see that as more beautiful. Because I feel like that pulled away from it. It was more of a marketing thing that drove us towards the lighter skin complexion. And we need to deconstruct that, in my opinion.
Okay. What about you, Sherry? What you got?
My bad. I was getting a text, but in terms of like a solution for it, I would say just beginning with the home and just instilling that into your child so they don't look for it, outwardly. So no matter what a person is telling them from the outside, they will still have that confidence, that pride, that self-love. So I just instilling that into your child,
Okay. Personally, I feel like just like with a lot of these things, we need to actually just come together, like personally, and have these conversations as well. Like just being in the men's meeting with Will, there was different shades of Black men there, and nobody fronted on anybody. You know what I'm saying? And we were just having open dialogue about the type of things that we go through, and everybody concurred on everything. It wasn't like, oh, I ain't go through that, and then it turns out, oh, you ain't go through that because you light skinned. Nah, it wasn't that. It's just we are all Black men, we are all Black people, and we all go through the same thing because we're Black. It's not a light skin or dark skin thing. You know what I'm saying? And then we have to have another conversation about the biracial side of our family, because they're here and they are 9 times out of 10 getting mistreated just like we are as non-biracial Black people. So if we just come together and like really have those important conversations, I feel like that we can make a deep change within our community. And we just going to end it right here. But before we do that, Shaharia, talk about your show, man, because you got a show on the Ranters Union too. Come on now, don't be shy.
Okay. I have a show called, For My Silent Skills. It's like a nonprofit that I've been trying to start. I finally submitted the paperwork to try to get incorporated. It's just a show where we talk about, thank you, domestic violence, domestic abuse, the effects of it, red flags, healing, your journeys afterward. And we talk about a range of things. It's not just a serious type of depressing environment,
Right.
We try to lighten the mood because we are real people going through real life situations, current situations. It's not just all bad. So we talk about those things, and I wanna hear from more men actually on my show, because I have a few consistent women, but men go through it too, and I would love to hear that a man's perspective on a lot of things that we talk about. It's a flip side to everything, and just like one of the topics from I think it was the last show was that women can be just as toxic, Women can be just as abusive, but it's not talked about enough. And I want to hear, how men feel about that.
So what days your show come on?
Wednesday.
Yeah, because I'll be there.
It comes on every Wednesday, so it's weekly, every Wednesday, and we normally go live between 6:30 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Okay.
Oh, so tomorrow.
Yeah, and it normally goes for about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours.
Okay. So we're gonna stop by there. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna come through, shed some light. Will look like he ready.
Yeah, I am. You know me.
Yeah, I would love to have
on
y'all, man. I would love to have y'all. I need to, hear how y'all feel about it. A woman can give a woman's perspective, but they can't give a man's perspective.
That's a fact.
Facts.
That's fine. What you got going on, bro?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
What you got going on? Like anything you got going on that we could promote right now?
Oh no, right now no. I'm still putting things together. I mean, I'm just marketing my real estate business, and then I got a new program. We just partnered up with Home Partners of America to do lease purchases. So I got to create some marketing material to start promoting that as well.
Okay.
Real estate is it's different than a lot of businesses. A lot of it is about, like, you might see me post all this stuff for market, but all the work happens behind doors where you make 50, 60 phone calls a week, sometimes more than that. So no, not much to talk about there unless you're in Atlanta, Georgia, and you're looking to buy a property. Holla at me. I'm pretty good at what I do. But other than that, no. And just make sure you send us the information for your podcast so I can see if I can make it. I think yours was the one at the last minute. It was trying to get me to comment on because it had something to do with toxic relationships. Yeah, and I had to kick a chick out of my house because of that one time. So yeah, I would have been pretty good at giving you my take on that madness. She really was trying to fight me, fam. Like she was so mad. She was so mad I didn't want to fight. I was like, man, you better get your ass out of here. She was so tight, and me and her chill now. She like, I don't know what it is because her new man fighter beat up, but she was like, I can't believe. Like she's like, I used to make me so mad because you just would not give in or feed into my bullshit. I'm like, come on, man, I'm a king. I ain't about to have no time for that.
That's what they be wanting.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I would have did good, but yeah, just holler at us.
For sure.
Okay,
For sure.
I got you.
And as always, brother Will, let me know what's going on, man.
Well, you know me, I'm always busy, but what I'm currently doing is, and something that might interest you, Salah, I'm not sure if you know that I'll be helping, not necessarily moderate, I'll be behind the scenes working. But for a quick step is doing an event called Battle Cry. It's basically, what lays in the wake for Black and brown men in dance battle culture. Like once the battle is done, how that affects them. That's going to be October 11th. It's going to be on Zoom. I'll give you the information. I'll show you the flyer, send you that. It's going to be a real dope combo. And what I'm currently doing, because I do now have a nonprofit, Our Black Web is officially a nonprofit. What I'm doing is the whole goal is to promote businesses. So what I'm going to be doing is panelist talks with artists, writers, dancers at some point, designers, people who are in the creative fields, just to get their ideas and see what it is that's going on with them in their respective fields and how things are bothering or affecting them and solutions that they're coming up with, things of that nature. The first one is going to be an artist talk. And the date is to be decided, but when I have it, you will be the first to know.
Absolutely. And as always, every first of the month, the men's meeting, all Black men come together.
That is true.
Just
every first Saturday.
Yeah, every first Saturday, and it's an open forum of just open dialogue, a space where you can actually express your feelings and not get your feelings invalidated while speaking.
Yeah, we respect each other. The whole point is for mutual respect. We talk to the person's topic and not at the person. We make sure that's how we address things. We help one another. The whole goal is to actually foster positive interrelationships with Black men, as well as the youth and them growing up. So it's a big thing. So Josh said, bring your talents to the I Rant Network. Well, listen, man, don't threaten me with a good time. Look,
it was definitely a good vibe. Definitely a good vibe. And you see Logic like, yo, come to the I Rant Network, bruh. We won't talk. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. This actually was the season finale, so we're gonna see y'all again in probably like in a month or so.
No.
Yeah, we gonna take a little break.
What's this at? What's this power? Where you just cut niggas off in the middle of the fucking season? We'll see y'all in February.
Book 2.
Nah, nothing like that. We ain't gonna keep you waiting too long. But just keep in mind, our next conversation when we do come back for season 2 is going to be spirituality versus religion.
Oh, please, yes, I'm here. Please,
yeah,
please.
That's going to be a good one. But Shaharia, Hassan, Will, I love y'all. Everybody in the comments, I love y'all. Bunny, I love you. JJ, I love you. We going to get it in next time. See y'all. Thank you.
Told me I was perfect. Counted the freckles on my nose in the dark chocolate he suckled. I suffered under loving him, but it was so good. I swear it was so good. Swear it was milk and honey and madness. Through lips smacked, I tasted his dreams. And they were like endless pastures and staring off cliffs to freedom land. They were like an eloquent soliloquies. They were like Negro spirituals, beautiful and pained in everything. He said he loves me nappy. Early morning, wild eyes and free, how I was meant to be. Said he smelled the sweat and determination in my throat before I burned it out. Before the grease took my worried brow, what are we now? He wonders since I don't look the same.
CJ Walker. Yeah. Yo. Check. Madam CJ lace you with the perm and you mad cause I ain't say a word. But would it be wrong to say that you were perfect how you were? Let's get it straight here. We going through it and they should be concerned. Let's get it straight here. We going through it and they should be concerned. Mankind. Nah, where'd your afro go? You were perfect how you were, girl, and that's no joke. There's no need to eliminate your kinks and curls to assimilate your nappy hair and your pretty face. Let's get it straight here, baby. You don't need straight hair to butterfly flutter where my stomach lies. With a time to be alive, it's been a great year. We finally free, and they scared. I couldn't wait to play up in your scalp, but it seemed like everything changed since we made it from the south. We used to stay up in the house. You were shy, no patience for the crowds, no hatred. I'm just trying to figure out why you rather comb it down and pick it out. Cause if you did it for me, just know it's something I could live without. But if you did it for you, that's all I need to know. You're all I need to grow. Keep me close, even though Madam CJ lace you with a perm and you mad cause I ain't say a word.
Whoever said long hair don't care is a bald-headed liar. You're bald cause your head was on fire. I see the tracks of your tears and it's tearing me apart. I can't relax, I wear it on my heart. I wear it like my skin. It's wearing on me then, started losing my hair. I'm like, where do I begin? Sometimes I'm full of shit. It's clear that I depend on your support. I saw your hair and thought it was the end. Let's get it straight here. I dread falling out with you. I'd rather lock it down. Natural beauty, you should rock the crown. She said, stop throwing rocks at my throne. The hair that I rock is my own. I brushed it off, touched it soft. Really checked it out, got turned on. About to sweat it out. Mankind.